Smoke. OVS, Old Virginia Smoke.
This podcast is brought to you by the Kansas City Barbecue Store, the official provider of barbecue supplies to listeners of Pitmaster. It's June, which means the month that summer starts, Father's Day, and getting ready for July 4th. That means getting all of your grilling and barbecue supplies in order. From smokers and fuel to rubs and sauces, the Kansas City Barbecue Store has everything and anything you could want. And get this, as a listener of the OVS Pitmaster podcast, you can get 10% off of your order this summer by using the code PITPOD, PITPOD, for online orders at www.thekansascitybarbecuestore.com. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. So visit the kansascitybarbecuestore.com today for all of your barbecue needs. All right, Luke Darnell here, host of Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast. And with us this week is, I gotta say, an absolute legend of barbecue. And I don't say that lightly, because when I interview other pitmasters, they all bring up the name Mike Davis from Lotta Bull as someone that has been severely influential and helpful to them in their barbecue career. So this has been a long time coming, and I am very excited to have you on, Mr. Davis.
No, it ain't no Mr. Mr. lives down the street. Oh, man, it's a pleasure to be here, Luke. It's been a long time since we've even talked. Long time since we've been together, seen each other. So this is a treat.
A huge treat. And I have to tell you that there's another person out there who's more excited about this podcast than I am, and that's Rick Hamilton from Ham Bones by the Fire.
Well, I'll tell you what, Rick and Elizabeth are really, really great people.
They are two of our best friends, if not our best friends. We go to Cleveland. Awesome. Yeah, we go to Cleveland and spend time with them, and they come here and spend time with us. Rick has cooked with me probably I don't even know how many times now, but every time he shows up, we seem to do pretty well. So
yeah. Rick is a good cook.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's. I guess he probably told you about the contest he reserved down in Georgia.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, shows up down there with two Webers in the box.
Yep.
On the back of his motorhome, put them together there. Ask people how do these things work? It's like, really?
That's Rick.
And then it reserves the contest.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't dumb luck.
No, but he claims a lot of what he's learned about competition barbecue has come from you.
Yeah.
And I've had, he started cooking again this year, and he's given me brisket and stuff, and I'm tasting it. I'm like, what is that? That is good. It's a lot of Bull red dirt, buddy. It's on there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, it is truly an honor to have you on here. So I really, barbecue's changed so much just in the 10 years that I've been doing it in terms of the competition barbecue and stuff. But I went and looked. There's a service out there called barbecuedata.com, which it puts data together as far back as KCVS has records in terms of contests and stuff. And there's a big 10-year gap. So it starts in 2009, but I think you started cooking in around 1999, if I'm correct.
Somewhere there.
Yeah, but in the year 2009, which is the first year, I went and looked you up. And I think you cooked 23 contests. And you got a 14th place rib. That was the only result in any of the 4 categories or overall that was not in the top 10.
you got to slip every once in a while.
I was like, I wonder what happened with that rib. It was probably good, and some judge messed it up.
Yeah. That's the thing about it. I guarantee you, it was just like the one I'd done the week before.
Exactly.
You know,
Was there as much consternation back then as there is now between judges and cooks? Was there a
Mm, I don't know then, but no, there was not. We were kind of right in the Huntsville, Alabama was the first time that scoring cards, comment cards had been used. And that was the change that weekend right there, because that was kind of a pilot, and the judges didn't know what to do with it. We didn't know what to think about it. It was just kind of weird. I mean, but that's where
Right.
it all started.
Interesting? Is that the whistle stop competition?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Man, I cooked that last year.
Did you really?
I did. I cooked it, and I got my ass handed to me. And and I said, you know what? I will come back and do this again, and maybe have a different procedure. But
Right.
it's funny you mentioned comment cards and how that changed it, because now your comment cards are basically screened and edited by the reps. I don't know if you knew that
Yeah.
or not.
Yeah.
And I kind of, if a judge takes the time to sit there and just say this rib sucked,
Yeah.
I why not give that to me? Or I'm not sure that the KCBS rep is the one that should be making that judgment call on whether I see that or not. But
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't. I mean, for me, it's always been. It is what it is. I mean, and I argued for years. I said, just let me talk to the judges with my cards. I mean, I said, I'm not going to beat nobody up. I just want to know what you're thinking.
right.
Why did I get that? It's like you put down, everybody gives you a 9, but this one guy gives you a 6. Okay. Why?
Why? Tell me why.
Did he just not like it? I don't know. But, Carolyn Wells, bless her heart, would never let me do that. So
It's funny because when I went and took the judges class before we even started cooking, and I had cooked with another team before that, and I was kind of shocked at, like, this is what you guys are teaching them. Like, none of this food is what they're going to receive.
right.
And now, whenever I'm at a contest, if there's a judge class going on, like the Thursday or Friday before, I make it a point to go.
Yeah.
And basically tell them, like, look, what you're going to eat here in the next hour is not, it's not what you're going to get at a contest. And I usually will invite the whole class if they're not judging. I invite them down to our site, and I'm like, here, you can try whatever you want. This is more
Right.
along the lines. But I think they're starting to get a little bit better grasp on how to keep everybody on the same page. So I want to give KCBS credit for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, they're doing a good job. Well, all right, enough about that, because I'm ready to get into some of these questions with you, man. I'm so excited.
All right. Well, let's see if you are or not. So.
So what's been the most surprising thing to come out of competition barbecue for you?
The most surprising thing?
Yeah.
I guess being able to travel, see the things that I've never dreamed that I would see. Barbecue took us overseas. It took us from California to Virginia, to Chicago to Florida. Man, it's just it has to be the travel aspect, the people that you meet along the way. some you still call friends, a lot you call acquaintances, and some you never want to see again. You know what I mean? If I'm just being honest, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's yeah, it has to be the travel aspect of it. You know, the parts of the country I would never have been able to see otherwise, people that I would never have met otherwise.
Yeah.
Going overseas was we've been over there twice. One to Switzerland, Austria, Germany, you know, and all time cooking, and then over to the Netherlands, and man, that's just awesome. I never expected to be able to do that.
That's fantastic. And as another husband and wife team, being able to do that with your spouse and just travel the country, travel the world, I'd have to say that that's probably my answer to that question too. You know, we make it a point to cook a new state every year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're up to 30 now.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so we're gonna keep going. I mean, that's something that we love, and like you said, I would have never been to, you know, the parts of Wisconsin where I've cooked, and you know, I would have never had a reason to go there except for barbecue. So
Right.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when I was working, I worked a full-time job, and then we, you know, would take off on a Thursday, sometime a Wednesday. And be able to go and travel to the next contest. My boss that I had at the time, I was self-employed for a little while, for about 6 or 7 years, and I went back into the workforce, and they made me a regional manager over this trucking company. Well, it allowed me to travel a lot, and as long as I could get to a terminal, plug my laptop in, my boss didn't care where I was, and because I could take care of everything from there. So when we started doing that, we were able to travel in the daytime to these different states. And I'll never forget, one time Debbie made a comment once we started doing it. We're probably 6 months, maybe a year in, you know, and I think we're going through Kentucky one time, and she says, "Man, this is what Kentucky looks like in the daylight." Because the first time she'd ever seen it was at night. So, and she said, every place looks the same. Now I get to see it in the daylight. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
What do you think separates a good pitmaster from a great pitmaster?
Oh, so I had a pretty quick answer to that, and I thought I had it, but I said it's one who wins, but does it with kindness, shows humility.
Wow, that's a great answer.
I mean, I had seen the guys that, and I tried to be that way myself, to be a gracious winner, and I've seen the guys that had the attitude, well, I'm Joe Blow, I should have won.
Huh.
You know, that's nothing that I should have done that, and I don't have much room for that. I don't. Because you know, a friend of mine, I'm sure you know Joe Davidson.
Mm-hmm.
Joe told me one time years and years ago, he said, "When it's your day to win, can't nobody beat you." And that's I've kind of lived with that, you know, in the back of my mind at every contest that I've done. You know, if I won, it was my day to win. If I got beat, it was my day to get beat.
Yeah, and there's no need to go any further than that on it. You know, it's a contest, and everybody's there to win.
Yep. And like Debbie used to tell me, you know, she said, when you lose, she said, you got 5 minutes. You whatever you got to do, you get over it, because we're going on. 5 minutes. That's it, buddy.
5 minutes. I like Debbie. I like Debbie. I got one that goes a little longer than 5 minutes, but I've gotten her down to about 15.
She cut me off 5 minutes yet.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to jump back up to the top. to the question
Okay.
more.
All right.
So one of the things that, man, and tell me if my memory's wrong, but you used to cook Bel Air, Maryland, but you would vend at the same time. Is that true?
In Maryland?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
No. Okay.
I think, yeah, the only time we actually did vending was when we were doing the NASCAR thing.
Oh, okay. Right on. Well, I do remember the times that we have been together that you have kind of a silent confidence about you when you're cooking. Where does that confidence come from?
I think a lot of it you're just born with. But I'll say that my folks always instilled confidence in you. You can do whatever you put your mind to do, and they started that at an early age, and them doing that, and then having it. Um, just kind of born with some of that. I never been a showboat kind of guy.
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
more than
Yeah.
my wife. She tells me all the time. She said, "You're kind of a big deal." Well, I'm sitting here looking at a deal that a friend of mine gave me in Delaware a couple of years ago. We go up and help Jeff Haas put on a contest up there, and
Uh-huh.
and Melissa Hollis brought me a little desk plaque. You know how you get those desk plaques with your name on them, set on your desk? Well, this one says I'm kind of a big deal. And so when I had left the contest, went to the motel, David and I did, we came back, and I had that sitting in the console of the car. And I pulled up there, and the guy says, there's no more cars in here. And I said, you know who I am? I just met with him. He's like, no, I really don't care. And I picked that thing up and I showed it to him, and he just died laughing. He said, go on in, get out of here.
Oh man, you know the Hollis family up in Delaware?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Man, they are some of the best people in the world.
They are.
They really are.
I really enjoy talking to Jack's mom and dad, too. They're just salt of
They're
earth.
fantastic. They're absolutely fantastic. And
They are.
we used to love going up and cooking that. They did a competition up there called Booby Q around Halloween. And and man, that used to be one of our favorites. We loved going up there.
Yeah. Supposedly they're going to do that contest again this year, and I don't know at Haas there. So I don't. Jeff likes for me to come up and just kind of be around, do a little class and stuff. And
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to be able to go or not. I hope we are.
Yeah, it'd be cool if you can.
Yeah.
I love those people. They're such great people.
Yeah, they are.
So, your experiences outside of barbecue and your career and stuff, how did that prepare you to be so successful on the competition trail?
Well, I guess I started out mechanicing.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you'd say, working on my own cars. Started out with bicycles, then cars, and it seemed like there wasn't anything I couldn't fix. If I could take it apart, I could put it back together. And sometimes, the factory puts extra bolts in. You just toss them away, and you don't need them anyway. But when you put stuff back together, that's kind of the way I've always been. It's I wouldn't say it. I wouldn't say it's confident in what I'm doing. I learned gasoline engines and I learned diesel engine, and that's what got me into the trucking business. And I like to know how things work. I like to figure things out, and barbecue is no different. You see guys go to cook barbecue that you just kind of watch them, and it's like, oh man, I could do that. Well, I could do it, but it didn't turn out quite right.
Right.
And then that gives me the oomph to make it right. And honestly, I was lucky to have some people who kind of took me under their wing early on. And I don't mind telling you who that was. I don't know if you ever heard of Jeff Shivers or not.
No.
Jeff Shivers was one of the founding fathers of IBCA. He and his wife Lynn ran contests in Texas. In fact, they ran the contest. Lynn ran the contest, that first barbecue contest I ever cooked in Palestine, Texas, along with my brother-in-law. We cooked that contest, and that's a long story. But anyway, that's how we got our feet wet cooking those contests. We cooked it a couple of years before we ever got a call. But once we did, things started to gel. But Jeff took me under his wing and showed me everything he knew about barbecue. He was not holding back anything. In fact, he would make sure that I parked next to him so that I would do things when it needed to be done, not necessarily copying everything he did, but he kind of was on his timeline.
Right.
And, it's like, you use your own stuff. I'm going to use my stuff. It'll be fine. And one of the things that I learned early on doing that with him is that you better cook something you like to eat, because you're going to eat a lot of it. So it better be good. You better be good to your taste buds. And then later on you find out that it's not necessarily what you like, it's what the judge likes. So
that's the hardest thing to teach people.
It is. It absolutely is.
I have somebody I've been working with now for a couple of years, and man, I just can't get him to move past that. It's, I know it's good, man. I know it's good, but it's not what they want. And you got to cook what they want. It's a different kind of cooking,
Yeah. And that's the hardest thing. I don't know if you ever remember Rocky Danner or not, but Rocky went with us to Switzerland, and we did some classes over there for those people at the World Barbecue Association. And we were eating supper one night, and he says, you don't teach nothing. He said, you don't teach these people how to cook. He said, you teach them how to be confident in what they're doing. And I thought, man, that's probably the greatest compliment I could ever get.
Absolutely. Man, that is a great compliment.
Yeah, I mean, that just floored me. I sat there and looked at him for, seemed like 30 minutes. It's like, man, I appreciate that. He said, I'm telling you, I've been watching you. That's what you're doing. I said, okay.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, one of the things, all these podcasts and shows and everything, we like to talk about our accomplishments and stuff, and we've already established that you're a big deal.
I wish I could see a picture of what my daughter just gave me for Father's Day.
But one of the things we always that I like to focus on is our failures and how a failure at a contest has set you up to be successful further down the line. Do you have a favorite failure of yours?
Oh yeah. Actually, I got a couple.
Okay.
One I'm going to tell you about first, then I'll tell you I'm going to tell you about number two first, and then I'll tell you about number one. Number two was we, for a few years we traveled with the Triggs, and that was quite, at that time, was a good time for us. Okay, so we're going down to Louisiana, a little town called Florine, and we're going down the highway, down the interstate. And Johnny thought, this will be funny. So I get ready to take the exit. He's behind me, and he moves over to the left-hand lane. I said, oh, crap, this must not be the right one. So anyway, we're going down there to the next exit, and I got off. He passed me. He got off that exit. We're going to make a U-turn. So we make a U-turn, and one of the doors on his luggage doors on his motorhome comes open, and out slides 2 ice chests right across the highway, and they dump out. It's like, oh man, I was laughing so hard I drove off the road because he made me miss my exit. So anyway, so I see that this brisket slides across the road. Anyway, we pick all this crap up, and we go on the flooring, and we get it all inspected and all this stuff. That night, I went to take my nap, and I overslept, and I burnt my brisket up. I mean, it wasn't nothing but charcoal. I come out of there, I was mad. I was slamming stuff, and Trigger hollered, "What's the matter with you?" It's like, burn my brisket up. He said, "I got another one over here if you want it." It's like, you got time for that? It's daylight now. He said, "They inspected it last night, but I'm not using it. You want it? Okay, let me have it." I put that brisket, I trimmed that brisket down to nothing, put it on the fire at 8 o'clock, and won the brisket that day. So,
wow.
you can always start a little late. It's not how you start; it's how you finish.
That's right.
But, and the other one was at the American Royal in 2002. On the invitational side, I had a DAL rib.
Oh, wow.
Last place rib. I was livid. I know I went longer than 5 minutes that day. I was just beside myself that how I could have done that. Looking back in retrospect, probably wasn't as bad as I let on like. Somebody just didn't like it. It just hit the wrong table.
Right.
Next day in the Open, I won the Open.
Wow.
So he come from last place rib to win the grand at the Royal one day apart. So that's my favorite failure.
Right, but you learned that you couldn't be mad. You had to cook again. You got to go.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I say that all the time, especially when you're at the double competition and you see somebody with their head down. It's like, hey, you don't have time for that right now.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't.
You don't have. You got to do this again.
Yep. Yeah, and that's hard to do. I mean, you look at it and it's like, but you have to say, okay, that contest is over. This is a brand new day. We're gonna start all over. So it's like I just got here. Here we go.
Yeah.
And it's hard. Great. It's hard to do, but it certainly can be done.
That's great advice. It's something that I've had to learn over the years.
Yeah.
Okay, hey, you did something really stupid today, but you got a chance again tomorrow. So
yeah. Heck yeah.
So there's a lot of people jumping into our hobby right now. What advice would you give to a smart, driven young cook who's about to enter the real world of competition barbecue?
Don't do it.
That's my number one piece of advice too, man. You know what? Be the king of your street. And save yourself a bunch of time and money.
Yeah, man, that ain't no joke. And the other part of this is ignore my advice. Don't do it. Just run and then ignore my advice. Go on, do it.
You go on and do it.
I mean, like I've said before, some of the people you meet, will just be the greatest people in the world. Some will be just a total jackass, but you'll make friends that you'll keep forever.
Absolutely.
And it's not friends that you're going to see every day. It's friends that you're going to talk to maybe a couple times a year, maybe every once a year.
Yep.
And I'm going to just throw this out there, but I got a lot of friends that we have made some lasting friendships along the way. And Barry Johnson is Swiggin' Pig. He's that guy.
Mm-hmm.
He is that guy. I mean, Barry has helped me with a lot of stuff over the years, and the friendship that he and I have will just go on forever.
That's really cool, man.
He Barry was asked to be part of something that I was not part of and I would never be part of. And he came to me and he said, "What do you think about me doing this?" I said, "Why are you asking me?" He said, "Because if it's going to affect my friendship," he said, "I ain't doing it."
Huh. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. That's Barry Johnson.
And it's funny because we used to, when we first started out, we referred to it as our real friends and our barbecue friends, you know.
Yep.
And then as you keep doing this, those lines get blurred.
Mm, very blurred.
Very blurred. And then they all just kind of mesh into one.
Yeah. 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 That's true.
Yeah. Let's switch gears here a little bit
Okay.
to gear, to stuff. You know, what is one of the best or most worthwhile investments that you've ever made in competition barbecue?
Knives.
Knives?
Yep.
You got a specific brand you like?
Uh, you know, I guess my best knives were Hinkle and Victorinox. I have a set of Shun knives in here on my kitchen cabinet, and just to be honest, I don't think they're any better than what my Victorinox or my Hinkles are. Uh, it's all in how you take care of them. You know,
Absolutely.
a lot of good knives out there. I remember somewhere where we were, and I don't know where exactly we were, but a guy was set up sharpening knives, and it was cheap. It was at a contest, and the guy was doing it. And I thought, I need to take my knives over and get them sharpened. So I took them over and I left them with his wife. Well, when he got done with them, he brought them back to me. And he said, "I got to tell you," he said, "you are the only person out here that brought me knives in a sheath that had coverings on them. Everybody else just bring me a handful of knives." I thought, well, I got to kind of take care of what takes care of me.
Right.
I depend on those things. And he said, "You're the only one that did that."
Huh.
So, but yeah, I think knives is probably my best investment. Everybody uses a thermopin or some type of thermometer, and I guess that's okay, but not for me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, one of my favorite questions is, what purchase of $100 or less has most positively impacted your barbecue life?
Mm-hmm.
I love that question because, I mean, it's the smallest little things. I've got a little thumb spice grinder that I use for my finishing powders.
Right.
And I mean, we didn't have them last contest, and I was going to lose my mind. I'm not sure how they didn't end up back in the trailer, but then I had to go, trailer diving and asking anybody if they had a thumb grinder, and finally found one that looked like last time it had been washed was 1999, and we cleaned her up and we used it and won the contest. And
Wow.
yeah, and it was, I mean, but that was a legitimate thing. That thing cost like $14.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
You got
Yeah.
anything like that? Any little tools or?
Uh, no, I really don't. I mean, my arsenal of that kind of stuff is pretty small. Um, I got probably 100 knives, and I got 3 that I use. You know,
Wow.
um, yeah. I gave that question a lot of thought. It's like, man,
I love my Victorinox chef knife. It was the first chef knife I've ever bought, and it's the knife I grab every time I'm in the kitchen. It's
yeah.
got a wood handle. It's been I've sharpened it maybe twice in 15 years
But
because it
but
just
you
stays sharp. You know.
but you take care of it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you made me feel great about keeping the blade guards on my knives that I do all the time. Everybody makes fun of me, and I'm like, no, well, now I feel a lot better about it, buddy.
Yeah, that's just some of the stuff you got to take care of.
This podcast is brought to you by BarbecueData.com. BarbecueData.com is your one-stop shop for all of your barbecue competition data. Historical data, calls, wins, placements, everything under one roof. It's a great way not only to track yourself in the standings, but also to track how you improve your scores from year to year. Listeners of this podcast can receive 20% off of a new subscription to BarbecueData.com with the code PITPOD. That's one word, all capital letters, PITPOD, PITPOD. So check your team scores, check on others, and do it all on BarbecueData.com. So when you're doing a contest, do you depend on a lot of technology in your approach, or are you pretty much a field cook?
Yeah, I run by the seat of my pants.
Yeah.
Touch it, feel it, I'm good to go.
Wrap on color, pull on feel, buddy.
Do what?
Wrap on color, pull on feel. That's
right.
I learned that in one of my first barbecue classes from Chris Capel with Dizzy Pig.
Yeah.
And he was my first mentor, really, and become a really good friend. Lives right down the road, and yep, he was like, I can tell you temperature, I can tell you whatever, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I used to, when I started doing classes, I told people when I wrap brisket, I said, well, how do you know when to wrap it? I said, if you'll just pay attention to the brisket, it'll tell you when it's ready to wrap.
Right.
What do you mean it'll tell you? I said, the brisket talks to you, but you just gotta listen. Yep. And I had one lady came to me the next contest, and she pulled up her chair while I was sitting outside. She said, I want to be here to hear what that brisket says. I said, okay, you just hang on because it's coming.
Did she really?
Yes, she did. I don't know if you ever knew Linda Gould or not, Fred and Linda Gould, but it was Linda Gould that did that. Yeah, I'm going to hear what that brisket's got to say.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It does talk to you, though. I mean, you can tell, you can tell if it's been like, yeah, you know what, I'm going to hang back here a little bit, or if it's, and that's part of, the struggle, and you've taught way more people than I've taught, but just getting them to understand that it ain't always going to be at 8:15 when you wrap that thing.
No.
It's going to be different.
There are some meats that you can do that with, but
right.
For the most part, no, you can't do that.
Now that we've covered gear, now we're going to talk about people. So who is, and I'm not joking, Mike, when I tell you that so many people on this podcast, whenever I ask them this question, you have been the answer. And that is, who has impacted your life the most in competition barbecue?
Oh, who impacted the most? The first person that comes to mind is Mike Mills. Really, there's two. Mike Mills and Chris Lilly, both.
Oh, wow.
Mike, I took several classes, or I attended several classes that Mike held at Murfreesboro. And he and I got to be good, I would say good friends over the time. Wherever he was, I would make a conscious effort to go see him, and he would do the same no matter where we were. One thing that I learned from Mike early on was that everything has a value.
Yep.
Everything. It don't matter. Everything has a value. Chris Lilly. Chris is just a good guy all the way around. He's been a friend to me way back. Soon after I got into KCBS, I ran on to Chris, and we just hit it off. And he's been kind of a sounding board for me over things over the years, So
Yeah, he's a great guy and just so much fun to talk to.
He is. Yeah.
And
He
and his restaurant is amazing.
is.
You know,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
got to when we were down at Whistle Stop last year, we went and ate there, and his boy came out and talked to us, and it was
Yeah.
some of the best food I've ever had.
Yeah.
At a barbecue restaurant, you could tell they really took a lot of pride in that, and that all comes from the top.
It does. Yeah, it does. Uh, his father-in-law still. The last time I was there, Don was still there. Kind of overseeing things, and Chris was running around doing Chris's deal. And I didn't see Chris a whole lot the last time I ate there. That was matter of fact, Ken Hess was still there
Oh
when I
wow!
ate, and when I and I told him, I said, don't go get nothing special. I just want whatever you're serving. He said, okay, I'll do it. So we did. We come back, we ate and we visited. And we had a good time, and I got ready to go. And I said, I need a check. And he said, you trying to get me fired? No, come on. He said, if I give you a bill for you to pay to get out of here, I'll be fired. I said, okay, I don't want you to get fired. So that's another good guy right there, too.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I've got to hang out with him several times through Chris, and yeah, just a great guy.
Yeah. Yeah, they're doing a bang up job with their place, a Country Smoke, too. So
I should probably have him on here.
yeah, Ken's a great guy.
Yeah. So
And then the other one that impacted was George Urick, Dead End Barbecue up in Knoxville, Tennessee. George and I have been friends forever and ever, and we still bounce a lot of things off of. He's kind of got over in the heavy restaurant side of the business, and not so much competition cooking anymore. But
yeah, and that's I think all pit masters, when there's a degree of success, they kind of transition that way. Um, how do you take what you've learned and been successful at it and turn that into a living?
and we do the same thing. I mean, it's with the trailer that we run every day. You have to learn how to scale things.
Yep.
You can't. I can't serve a competition rib off my trailer. Nobody would buy it because it would be too expensive for me to cook. Number one, you know, brisket, yeah, I can do that. Pork, I can do that. But some of the things you just have to learn. You have to know your demographic. Number one, you have to be able to sell a product and make a living at it.
Yeah.
If not, man, you're just pissing up a rope, so to speak. But and Deb and I have seen this in one town that we go to, and it's well, I don't know. They may listen, so at least. Well, I mean, you can't put all your eggs in one basket. If you do, you really have to pay attention, mind your P's and Q's, and that's where people go wrong. They don't. They think, oh man, this guy's making money hand over fist. I can do that too. Well, the guy really probably not making money hand over fist. He's just surviving.
Right.
He makes it look easy. That's what I tell people all the time. This ain't as easy as I make it look.
Right.
They don't see me out here at 11 o'clock at night or 5 o'clock in the morning doing this stuff, They just see the end result. That's just a very, very small part of what we do. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. It's kind of like competition barbecue. You just don't show up that afternoon, cook, and get your money and go home. There was a lot went into that.
Yeah. I mean, was your schedule from week to week the same? Would you try and do everything the same day?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I when we would travel, be gone sometimes 6, a few times 8 weeks at a time. I was fortunate enough to have a sponsor that would send my pork, send my brisket, send my chicken to me on the road. And a lot of times I would get it and freeze it prepare it. I would do all my trimming before we left and freeze it,
Yeah.
that kind of, if I had 2 different freezers on the motorhome. And, that's kind of one of the things, you talk about $100 thing. Well, that was a little more than $100, but, to have the extra refrigeration where you can carry stuff with you, to where everything's at
Yeah.
the same. You have the same product all the time, and I'm going to go a little bit further there. People say, well, I use hickory wood. What kind of wood you use? And I use some cherry and I use some apple. And it's like, I've used hickory for everything. And I bought it from one guy all the years.
Yep.
And this guy, he cut it out of a sandy creek bottom. And when I lived in Oklahoma, I used to have to drive 4 hours just to get wood. But I would take enough wood with me when in the motorhome to do all the contests I was going to do.
Right.
And then I stored wood in Tennessee at another place. In case I didn't get back, I had a backup, to get it over there. It's all about the consistency, using the same thing, doing the same thing over and over and over again. I like the fact that, people now can buy briskets. Everybody can buy the same brisket that the Winners are using, which I guess is probably those A9s that Kevin Green sells down there. And Kevin's a friend. But when we started, you just went to Walmart, got your stuff.
Right.
And you had a couple of meat places around who could get you a prime brisket. Man, I thought, that's tall cotton here, baby. Be a prime. And now.
Now there's everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I still think the best barbecue competition in the world would be you get 2 Weber Smoky Mountains and a $500 gift card to Walmart. And that's where you get all your meat and all your ingredients from, and then let's go.
Yeah, I agree. I would love to. We talked about that, trying to didn't they do that here a few years ago? Where they supplied the meat and stuff?
They supplied the meat, yeah. There were a few contests that were like that. And they were fun. I got to do a couple of them, and you kind of had to make do with what you got, and it was fun. I don't know that it leveled the playing field like everyone thought it was going to, but but I think a lot of that too is, when you're talking about going to the store and selecting your meat, that's a skill I think that is undervalued.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah.
It is.
I don't like to show up. I trim everything before a contest just because, I don't want to show up to a gunfight with a knife. If I've got 2 bad racks of ribs and 2 good ones, I'm already, behind the 8 ball.
Yeah. Well, that's what we did, for so long, was we were able to have stuff shipped to the house, and we would prepare everything and hold it there. I'm like you, at the time we were cooking Wagyu briskets from Screw Branch in Texas, and Tia was really, really good about shipping me whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted it. When we first started doing them, the first Wagyu brisket I cooked, I called her back and I said, that is the gosh awfulest thing I ever cooked in my life. I said, that's just nasty. She said, somebody else said that. She said, well, what are we doing wrong? I said, I don't know. Send me some more and I'll try it some more. And I finally figured out how to cook them. There was a different cooking process that went with a Wagyu brisket than there was with just a plain old brisket. an old select brisket, which most of us had. And it just turns out that the Wagyu brisket was just a richer, more flavorful cut of meat that you had to finesse a little more.
Yeah.
Those select or choice brisket, man, there wasn't a whole lot you could do to hurt it.
There's a lot
But
you
there
can
was
do
a
to
lot that
hurt a Wagyu.
you ain't wrong, and you can do it real fast.
Yep.
And when I took some of those, and that's what broke me from going to the contest and prepping at the contest. When you open one up and somebody has run a knife through the middle of it,
Oh, it's the worst.
and yeah, and I found out. I called Tia and I said, "Look, I just opened up this brisket and there's a knife blade run right through the middle of it." She said, "Oh, you know what that is?" I said, "No, it's a mess." She said, "No, that's kosher." I said, "You weren't supposed to get that."
Oh,
"What
geez.
do you mean? What do you mean it's kosher?" "Yeah." I said, "There was a rabbi there that run that knife into that steer." And you are kidding me. I said, "No, sir. You weren't
No
supposed
way.
to." Yeah. Yeah, she dead serious.
I
That
never
made
thought.
that made it kosher.
I never thought about that aspect of why that happens. That's
Yep.
amazing.
It was a knife cut all the way through the brisket. Got a 2.5-inch scimitar blade went right through that brisket.
Oh man.
Yeah, yeah. So, but when you get to a contest and you open the brisket and you find that out, that's not a good time to find out.
No, it's kind of too late to handle it at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Unless you got a buddy that dropped a brisket on the road.
Yeah, yeah. That didn't ever happen again either. So,
Yeah. So, uh, are you a superstitious fella?
not really.
No, you didn't have any habits or rituals or routines that you had to do during a competition every time?
Well, I say I'm not superstitious, and Debbie says, "Yeah, you say you're not, but you do the same thing every stinking time. You don't." She says, "You just don't change. If she's looking at the clock, I'm looking at the clock. She knows what I'm going to do." Um, it was so. We did this so long together that if I was wrapping something on the smoker
Yeah.
and I did something from inside, all I had to do was turn around to the door and she was standing there with it. My dentist went with me one time to Fulton, Mississippi, and he just sat over shaking his head. He said, "I know what I need to do now." So what's that? He said, "I just need to bring my dental assistant with me." I said, "She knows what I need when I need it." I said, "Oh, that's the way Debbie is. She knows what I need when I need it." So
It's funny, cooking with your spouse. I do the same, and it's almost like a dance at this point. We rarely
yeah.
talk. We don't have to
Oh,
talk.
we don't never talk.
Yeah, I mean, we
Uh,
know what's going to happen. We're getting better about tasting food at turn-in time, and
See,
like
I never taste it.
you let her taste it.
Yep,
Yep.
I never taste it because
Huh.
we would have a different opinion as to what's good and what's not.
Right. Right.
And
And that's
I trusted her to be that part of us to pick the right one, and
see.
she was always right.
I should. Kim's always right too, but I still eat it, and I still like to argue with her. I don't know why. Because she always ends up being right, and
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
I don't know. I can't believe I just said that on the air. That's
yeah. That's recorded. She's gonna hear that.
she is going to hear that. Man.
Uh,
So, what do you think the future of barbecue is?
of competitive barbecue, I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. I the way this whole world is right now, the cost of meat was already high. It's already expensive. Um, Everything's gone up. Now you're looking at the price of gasoline and diesel fuel to get to where it is, and the price of vehicles and the price of smokers, and
It's crazy. Yeah.
man, I don't know. It scares me to think that it's actually going to keep going. I mean, I think we're probably going to end up with places, smaller contests. People are going to start doing more localized stuff just because you can't get out and travel like you used to.
Yeah. And I know that KCBS sent out a survey this week about 2 meat master series contests, just doing ribs and chicken.
Mm-hmm.
And, I haven't filled out the survey yet, but you know what? I don't know that I'm against it. It's
Yeah.
because there's a lot of times, especially now that I'm doing barbecue full time, where I can't get away for 3 days to go do a full contest.
Right.
But to go do a Sunday chicken and rib contest, I could probably pull that off a lot of times. So
Yeah. Yeah.
don't have to take the trailer. I can just take the pull behind pit and be good to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I still see a lot of guys, that are in the pickup and pull a smoker and throw an easy up and let's go.
It's my favorite way to cook, man.
It is. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
If you're going to live on the road, then you need to prepare for that.
yeah.
You can't do that with a pickup and an easy up. You got to have a trailer, you got to have a motorhome or something.
Yeah. Yeah. So back when you were really into this and you were going hard, did you ever engage in psychological warfare with other teams?
No, well, no, I don't think I did. They tried to engage me in some, but
I'm sure.
I it I don't know how to really say this without sounding like a butt, but it's just we used to pull into contest, and we pulled into one, and we just got the hard looks, and it's like, what are you doing here, and all this kind of stuff. And I've been to contests where I got booed if I got my name called, and
Oh, jeez.
I just kind of grin and go on. It doesn't. Most of those times, you end up winning the contest anyway. So, people that were there, to actually cook the contest, they never bothered you. It's the people that don't know you,
Right.
think, oh well, there comes that smart ass Davis. What's he doing here? That kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
I enjoyed people kind of wondering, what's he doing here? I've had people over the years that would admit later on that they used binoculars to try to watch and see what I was doing. It's like, man, all you had to do is just walk over and ask me. I'll tell you.
Oh, it's so funny, some of that stuff that goes on. It's my good friend Bill Gillespie with Smoking Hogs.
Yeah.
We were cooking in Lake Placid probably about 8 years ago, and I was over there having a beer with him late at night, and it was like 11:30, and he goes, "Well, they'll be here in about 5 minutes." And I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "There's these two guys. They'll be here in about 5 minutes because I'm getting ready to put pork on, and they always show up trying to see what they can see."
Really?
And I'll be damned if he wasn't right. They come walking up. I started laughing and just walked away.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Don't leave me here." these two, and I was like, I got to, man, or else I'm gonna say something that I shouldn't. But he's like, every time they do it, every time. That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Wow.
Oh man, this has been
You know,
great.
yeah, and the first class I ever did, I did in Lynchburg, and I had people that walked away from that class. I told them, so this works for me. I'm not telling you this is the way to do it. I'm just telling you this is the way I do it. And
Right.
I honestly gave the class exactly like I did things. And then to hear later, people said, he don't do that. Okay,
Right.
well, why did you spend all that money to come tell me he didn't do that? I really did do that, And yeah, I kind of, maybe there's people out there that do the classes that don't give you everything. And I've been to some
Yep.
that say, oh, well, this is what we do. And then find out later, that ain't really what he does. And that's kind of disheartening because people spend good money to take you at your word, to think that you're really giving what you do. I gave my recipes. I gave everything. Every class was exactly like I did the things. And the guys that did it were successful. I can give you my recipe and you do everything just like it is on there. It may not turn out the same.
Right.
It's just like cooking your mom's recipes. They're not going to taste like when your mom did them.
Nope. Not unless you do it a million times and get as good
Yeah,
as she was at doing it.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's I've been very fortunate to help a lot of people in the barbecue world, and a lot of people have helped me along the way as well. So I'm a firm believer. You do what's right, it'll all come back.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
You do what's
and
wrong, that'll come back too. But yeah,
that's
do
true.
what's right.
Well, it's, I mentioned my friend Rick Hamilton
Yes.
earlier, and he's got, all kinds of certificates up in his office, uh, for anything and everything that he's done in his life, which is amazing. And
Yeah.
one of the ones up there is the certificate he got from taking your barbecue class. And
Well,
I think it's
we went,
pretty cool.
we went to his house and did that.
Yeah, he told me.
Yeah.
He's and he remembers every bit of it,
Yeah.
and the thing that I think what Rick's superpower is that he's able to listen, digest, and then reproduce.
Yeah.
And just the fact that he is such a strong listener is, I think, why he's such an amazing person and a great cook.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Rick retains, I think, probably 99% of everything he hears.
that's true. He does not forget anything.
No, he doesn't.
It is kind of a curse. He's always reminded me of stuff I've said or did, and he's like, "Well, you didn't do that," I was like, "I know, man. Leave me alone." Oh,
Well, you
well,
tell Rick hello for me when you see him.
I will. But I want to ask you these rapid fire questions before we
You
go.
go right ahead.
All right. What do you see about barbecue on social media that upsets or bothers you?
There's too many people out there playing Rambo, and to me, it's just gotten with social media. It's too commercialized.
Yep. It's something, It's,
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of in a quandary about the whole thing being a barbecue on social media. I see a lot of people there that you know,
I'm in a quandary about social media in general because I think
yeah,
when they look back at our society, they're going to say this is where these people went wrong.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So, did you have a favorite pre, during, or post competition meal?
Nothing pre, nothing during, but it was Mexican food after.
Man.
Yep.
I
Yep.
interviewed Leanne Whippen earlier today. She said the same thing.
Really.
Yep.
I like that. We go way back.
Oh, she's amazing.
Yeah,
She's
last time I saw her, I cooked against her at Mohican Sun uh, a few years ago. It's like, why did they put me against you? I can never beat you. I said, well, you ain't gonna beat me today either. So,
Oh man. Do you have a favorite present that you like to give to people?
I don't have what I do like to give people um, is if they would like to have, and mostly this is younger kids, but even older people too always want to take a picture, and I'm happy to do that.
That's
Uh,
cool.
and a congratulatory handshake when they win. I want to do that. I'm all about that. Uh, After we did this real quick here, I know you're in the rapid fire, but I'm gonna tell you
No,
this.
no, we're good. We're good. No.
So after we did the NASCAR thing, which was all televised, and the Kingsford thing and all that, we were down in Hammond, Louisiana, cooking, and this lady and her husband. Oh, they probably were about our age, I guess. And the lady's husband's dad was there with them. And man, she just all googly eyed and oh my God, that's Mike Davis and can I get your picture? And she handed the camera to her father-in-law. I said, would you take our picture? He said, I will if you'll settle down. He says, my God, it's not Merle Haggard.
Oh man, that Merle Haggard.
Yeah, that's not Merle Haggard. Kind
Hammond,
of weird.
Louisiana.
Hammond, Louisiana. I don't think they still do that contest
You
now.
know, they've canceled it the past 3 years because of COVID.
Yeah.
And it's been the one that we've been wanting to go and do, just because we've never cooked in Louisiana, and just to go down there and have a good time and
Oh
see.
man, if you ever get the chance to, you should because the time of year that they put that contest on um, is the time the Ponchatoula strawberries come out.
Oh
That is
wow,
that is the best strawberry you will ever put in your mouth.
huh? Okay,
Ponchatoula is a parish down there that
yep,
Hammond is in, and that is the very best.
okay. All right, last question, buddy.
All right.
If you could have a gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, getting a message out to millions of people, what would it say and why?
Well, I tell you, my dad's a Baptist preacher, and church and gospel music has always been a big part of my life. Not you never asked this, but people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that I sing in church, and I used to sing pretty regular. In fact, I started singing when I was 10 years old, uh,
Wow.
and I still do now. Uh, but what I would say is that Jesus is coming back soon. Are you ready to meet him? If not, you can be. Just ask him into your heart right now. What are you waiting for?
That's good, man. That is, yep,
That's what I would say.
cool.
I don't
That
mean to
is,
turn it into a religious thing, but
no, no.
that's that's always heavy on my heart.
Well said. Well said. I would ask you to sing, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen.
All right, my friend. Well, thank you very much for your time. Where can people find you if you want to be found?
Well, I live in Delight, Arkansas.
Any places online?
We still have our website up, lottabullbbq.com. Social media is at Mike Space Debbie Davis, Lotta Bull Barbecue. We have that's on the social media too. So,
Very
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Very cool. Well, I want to thank you so much for spending some time with me. I really appreciate it.
Well, Luke, it's always good to talk to you, and I appreciate what you do because you put barbecue out there and you do it the right way, and a lot of people look up to and listen to what you got going on. There's a lot of things out there that people don't listen to because it just goes kind of haywire, gets crossways a lot, and you know you don't need that.
Nope.
There's a good way
No.
to do it. You're doing it, my friend.
Well, thank you very much. That is a fantastic compliment. So, all right.
You are,
I hope to see you soon.
yeah, yeah. Uh, maybe if they have the thing up in Delaware, maybe you slide over there.
I will do so. Definitely. All right, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you, Luke. You take care, buddy.
You too. Thank you for listening to Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast. Be sure to subscribe and like the podcast, rate the podcast, and to share it out with your friends. Also, be sure to check out the Old Virginia Smoke TikTok as well. Old Virginia Smoke, one word. That's all you have to search for. It's hilarious. Tune in next week for another great episode of Pitmaster. For companies interested in advertising, please contact Old Virginia Smoke directly via www.oldvirginiasmoke.com. Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast, is edited by Chris Sedanka. Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast, is a property of Old Virginia Smoke LLC. All rights reserved. Copyright 2022.